If you have a Medigap Plan G, your premium has probably gone up a lot this year. I'm going to explain why this is happening. You're probably not going to like it. And then I'm going to give you 5 helpful things that you can do about it. Welcome back to Medicare Happy Hour, the most fun you'll have on the internet while talking about Medicare. Today, I am enjoying a vodka citrus spritz. All right, before I start, I will tell you we have an entire separate video on Medicare supplements or Medigap plans. So go ahead and check out our page to learn more about different supplements. But starting first things first, what is a Plan G? So a Plan G is a Medicare supplement or Medigap plan that covers all Medicare approved costs except for Part B and your Part B deductible. So obviously for any of these plans, you have to pay your Part B premium to have access to that. That's for your original Medicare. Now, the only thing that the Plan G does not cover throughout the year, as long as it's a Medicare covered expense, is your Part B deductible. Those change slightly every year, so go ahead and just check out what that is. You can just Google it. These are the most popular Medicare supplements or Medigap plans. You can see any doctor or hospital as long as they accept Medicare. There are no networks associated with these plans. They're sold by private insurance companies. Prices can vary, Anthem, Aetna, Humana, they all have a different pricing system, and it's slightly different dependent upon age and other elements. And the plan is the same no matter what the carrier. So even though the premiums might be different from Anthem to Humana to Aetna to Cigna, the plan is the exact same. So why are these rates increasing? Well, first and foremost, healthcare inflation. Medical costs are going up. Every time I turn around, I see a news article about this. The COVID aftershocks as well. The plans are still absorbing a lot of the claims or losses from increased usage. You'd think this many years past COVID that, this would have kind of settled down by now, but we're still seeing a large increase. And more plan usage and risk. So these plans, when you first enroll on Medicare, whether you're 65 or working past 65, they are guaranteed issue. So at that point, you can enroll in any of these plans without medical underwriting questions. There's also the birthday rule. Some states have this where every year on your birthday, you can select a new Medicare supplement. So I did just mention the birthday rule and how some states have that. So we're going to talk a little bit about, some of the rules that are driving these increases in cost. So some states let you switch Medicare supplement plans without underwriting. And so if they're letting a bunch of people in that potentially are sicker, that would increase the cost as the insurance companies spend more and more in paying out those claims. Second is guaranteed issue. Essentially, that's similar to the underwriting I just mentioned. It accepts folks switching plans without that underwriting. The birthday rule, enrollees can switch plans annually around their birthday without underwriting, kind of how I mentioned. This is currently in 12 states, but I know it's on the docket for several other states. So it's something that we're continuing to keep an eye on. Here in Ohio, it's being considered to be added. It's currently implemented in Kentucky, and it just is interesting to kind of see how it adjusts things over time. Insurers take on more risk at this point, and more switching equals higher Plan G premiums. So one thing worth mentioning as well is the Medigap open enrollment period. So essentially your first 6 months on Medicare Part B, no underwriting is required for you to select any of the Medigap or Medicare supplement plans. So when I mentioned earlier, when you first enroll in Medicare, you could select any of these. This is definitely one that you have that first 6 months that you're on Part B. And after that, if your state has any of these situations, then that would apply to you. It's always worth checking if you are on a different type of plan and want to consider whether you can pass medical underwriting. A lot of people absolutely can, some cannot. It's worth taking the effort to see what those questions are and whether they would apply to you. So 5 tips now for those of you that might be impacted by rate increases on your Medicare supplement Plan G. So first and foremost, shop around. I talked about all the different insurance companies earlier and how they all rate these things slightly different. Some of them is age, county, etc. It's always worth shopping around and checking your options. Likewise, what I just said about the medical underwriting too. Even if you're not sure if you can pass, it's worth checking. Number 2, ask an expert. We're here. Just give us a call. I would highly encourage you to have a conversation with someone about this. Number three, Plan N, high deductible G, or Medicare Advantage are options. So Plan N is another Medicare supplement. What they've done is reduce the premium a little, and they added a couple of small, insignificant copays throughout the year. You can go ahead and check that one out. The high deductible G, I'll be frank, I don't necessarily like this option. I think that by the time you pay your premium for your supplement and your Part D drug plan, because always remember with the Medicare supplement or Medigap plan, you have to have a Part D drug plan to go with it. I feel like by the time you're paying for both of those, it's worth just checking out a Medicare Advantage option, which is something that I would recommend as well. There are also some stipulations on Medicare Advantage plans. If you've never been on one before, you essentially have a 12-month essentially look and feel. You can take a look at that plan, see if you like it by enrolling in it after 12 months. If you decide this isn't for you, you can go back to a Medicare supplement. There are some stipulations around that, but it's worth checking into if that applies to you. Number four, a household discount. If you have a spouse that lives with you and you're both on the same insurance company, you can receive a 5 to 10% discount on your monthly premium, which that adds up pretty quickly. And then last, make sure you check your Part D drug plan annually. We have lots of videos about the changes for the Part D drugs for 2025, but it's worth being aware every single year as time continues to move on. Make sure your drugs are covered. That gives you the most bang for your buck. So to wrap things up, I would really encourage you, if you're being impacted by these rate increases and it's just getting to be too much for you to handle, give us a call. We're here. We're happy to help you. We'll be willing to look at other options, whether it's a Medicare Advantage, whether it's an additional Medicare supplement, or just what it looks like for you. So give us a call. We're happy to help.